Hey there, Dance Studio rock stars, and welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, where we're cranking up the volume and celebrating like never before with our 500th epic episode. I'm Olivia Modcator, the Director of Strategic Initiatives, and I oversee the world-class Inner Circle program here at the DSOA. And joining me today is the phenomenal Alicia DeMaio, our Inner Circle program manager. Together, we're about to blow your dance-loving mind with an episode you won't soon forget. We've got something extra special in store for you. Our incredible mystery guest across this double episode is, drumroll please, the one and only Alicia Graf Mack. Now, before we dive into this value-packed interview, we want to take a moment to thank you, our incredible listeners. Your loyalty and support have propelled us through 500 episodes of dance studio inspiration, advice, and success stories over the past 9 years. You are the heartbeat of this podcast, and we couldn't have reached this incredible milestone without you. So get ready to celebrate dance studio owners with Lisa by my side and Alicia Graf Mack as our special guest. We're about to revolutionize the dance world together. All right, everyone, welcome to a very special episode at the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. It's Olivia Modcator, the Director of Strategic Initiatives, and today it is our 500th episode. If you can believe it, we've done 500 of these, and I am joined by the incredible Alicia DeMaio, who is the Program Manager at the Inner Circle. Hey, Lisa.
Hello, Olivia. Glad to be here with you.
I always love having these conversations with you. It's always so fun. And today it's extra special because for our 500th episode, Lisa and I are going to interview a truly extraordinary guest, someone I've been admiring for a long time, their journey in dance. And so we're so excited to introduce you all to her. She is a distinguished figure in the world of dance, a dean and director of the dance division at the Juilliard School, and an accomplished performer who's danced with the likes of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater of Harlem, and Complexions Contemporary Ballet. Her contributions to the arts have been recognized with numerous awards, including the Columbia University Medal of Excellence and the Smithsonian's American Innovator of the Arts and Sciences. And she's also a passionate dance educator, co-founding DNA Arts Collective to enrich the lives of young dancers. On top of all that, she's recently launched her own podcast, Moving Moments, and it's my honor to introduce you all to our guest today, the inspiring Alicia Graf Mack. Alicia, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you all.
Yes, we love your journey and you have so much incredible insights, and we're so excited to share it with our audience today and for you to be our 500th episode. Such a milestone.
Honor, and congratulations to you. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So as I said earlier, you've danced with incredible companies. I mean, just world-renowned companies, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater of Harlem, Complexions. How has your experience as a dancer and artist informed your approach to teaching and mentoring young dancers now in your role?
Wow. When people go through my bio, just as you have, it's like so amazing to hear all of these experiences. But in my role as dean and director, what I really hold on to is my identity as a dancer. And although I'm really not dancing these days as much as I would like, I understand what it feels like to have a big dream. I know what it feels like to want to experience that high that only a dancer can feel, performing on a stage, knowing their body, living in the moment, living in the movement, I always say as well, being one with music and sharing energy and just good vibes with your fellow dancer. That has informed everything that I do at the Juilliard School and everything that I do with mentoring young students and teaching young students. I try to hold on to that feeling because it's the same thing that has driven me since I was 3 years old, and then through the companies that I've had the great honor to dance with.
That's so important because I feel like it's easy when you become the teacher or the administrator to lose touch with that side and to just be so focused on performing in that regard, right? As being their mentor and their guide, that I think that that's so important, that empathy piece that you're talking about of really remembering what it's like to be in their shoes. And I love the dreams aspect too, because every dancer has that dream, and you've been in the trenches and have done it and can bring so much of that experience to life.
Yeah, absolutely. The students that I've worked with throughout my time in higher education specifically, they are working so hard. They're already so gifted, and they're curious to grow and expand in incredible ways. And I don't think anyone really understands what that feels like or what they've gone through unless you've gone through it yourself. The day-to-day grind, the dedication and sacrifice, and, transforming your body in certain ways and working through pain sometimes is all part of becoming a dancing artist. But to have someone by your side who says, I know what that feels like, and all of these amazing gifts that come from this type of work is all right here for you. You're so close. Someone who can be a support system, a cheerleader. I always talk to the students about, we can be serious about our craft, but let's be joyful as we move forward. And that's what I had the great privilege of experiencing in these 3 companies that I've worked with, and then all of the other festivals and one-off gigs and opportunities to do things that I never thought I would as a dancer.
I love that you said living in the movement, because when you said that, it really brought me back to my performing days. And that is such a great way to describe being on stage, because being so in tune to your body, the application of the technique you've worked on to bring you to this point. And so being so aware of every movement, the way you're moving through it, it puts you into a zone, a meditative state. And it's really almost like religion for a dancer, right? Coming off the stage and being in that space, both meditative, mental clarity, and the joy that comes after that. I love that term, living in the movement. So what I want to know for you now, what have been, I'm sure you've learned many lessons throughout your career and taken them with you. What have been the most significant lessons you've learned throughout your career that you have taken with you into your current role as the Dean of Dance at Juilliard?
Yeah, there's a few things. The first, I think, is to be intentional with how you work and how you train. And there are ways to sort of know the movement, to rehearse and be prepared. And then there's a certain way to really digest movement, to research ideas, to embody characters, or to embody music that requires a deeper dive into whatever the intention of the choreographer is, to know the intention of how you're going to move through space. And that's a different way of preparing for a performance or even for a class. I was always a half an hour early before every ballet class, before every rehearsal, before every show. And that worked for me. It might not work for every dancer, but I feel like for me to create the moment that I knew I was capable of, it required that much intentional sacrifice. So that was the first thing. The second thing was, I always say that I've been raised by basically incredible dance parents in my professional life. Arthur Mitchell, being the director and founder of Dance Theater of Harlem, was my first director and was a mentor and a huge sort of father figure in my life, who not only, enhanced my understanding and brought me from being a student to a professional artist, but also showed me how to be a leader, showed me how I could see leadership qualities in myself outside of dancing. He would often take me to fundraising events or outreach events and have me speak at a time when I never opened my mouth to speak to anyone. And he was asking me to speak in front of, a crowd of people. All of these things were ways in which he felt that dance and Dance Theater of Harlem could enhance who I was as a person, an adult person, and an artist. So I really appreciate that. And then my dance mom, being Judith Jamison, who was the first director that I worked on under, a female Black woman that I could really look up to and say, wow, look what you've done with this organization, and how intentional she was with all of her programming choices, with how she coached us. I'm thinking about how she coached Revelations after I had already performed it like 300 or 400 times, and how she would go back and clean and let's refresh these ideas. Let's go back to the 1971 version this year so we can keep it fresh in our minds. There were certain things that she did that I really looked up to and I carry with me always, and her grace and pride that she always carries still now is something that I've really looked towards and sort of shaped myself, or tried to shape myself around. So those are the role models, I would say, or examples that I carry with me. But coming back to your original question, it has to be about the joy. It has to be about remembering why you love to do this in the first place, because it is still, it does become a job, but you want it to be a fulfilling, job and career. So, yeah, I think it's about holding on to the joy. And the last thing I will say is, because I've been through a lot of injuries and I have an autoimmune disease. So my path has been anything from linear to be open to surprises, those good and challenging, and to enjoy every moment that you have on the stage, because for me, it was never promised that I would have the next performance. So I would truly leave everything on the dance floor. And I think that helped, those three things really helped to shape and guide, and how I shape and guide now.
Wow. I love that. Living in the moment. And man, to talk about some iconic dance parents. I mean, those are some two amazing people to have in your corner mentoring you. I mean, I think in fourth grade, I wrote a book report about Judith Jamison and her leadership.
I mean, too.
She iconic, and Arthur Mitchell too. That is incredible. And it's funny because those people who we learn from, when then you look at your dance class and you're like, they seep through so much of your being essence as an educator. It's just, they're there. And it's incredible that you have generations of your dance ancestry living through you just by having learned from them. I always love that. I always get goosebumps when I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so beautiful about the dance world, is that just like oral histories are passed down through various people, our dance history lives in our dance DNA. Yeah. And so we are products of the legacy of the people who came before us, who are brave to express themselves through this medium of dance. Even at the Juilliard School in our dance history class, Wendy Perrin is the first year dance history teacher. And we talked a lot about how we are aiming to have the students understand that they are a living, breathing part of this dance history. And so the first paper that they write is a lineage paper about who they learned from, what styles or techniques they've learned, and then who were the people that shaped those. And everyone kind of can map their dance family tree, if you will, to place them, or to allow them to be placed in an understanding that they are part of how we unfold and grow and innovate.
So cool. I love that. That's such a great assignment. I would nerd out on that for sure. So speaking of lineage, And you are part of also this lineage at the Juilliard School. In its 70-year history, you are the first woman of color to lead the dance department. Right after I'd asked you to be on the podcast, I saw you were featured on Good Morning America. And I was like, this is a sign. It was such a cool segment. And when I was watching it, I heard this theme of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and that's really a priority for you as the visionary of the department. How do you keep this top of mind, and how do you bring that to life in the program?
Yeah, thank you for watching that spotlight. It was quite a moment. I've had 5 years now at Juilliard, and so I'm feeling like my feet are firmly planted on the ground, and the vision that I had for a short term, 5-year vision plan, if you will, is coming to fruition, which is beautiful and very affirming to see. But keeping what we call EDIB, equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, at the forefront of my mind is simple for me. I feel that the diversity of our students, not just racially, but also in their strengths and talents that they bring. Some come from a classical ballet background, some come from competition, or competition-based background. Some come from, started in hip hop and then were interested to learn more, started in tap. So everybody's coming from different places. And I love a program that honors that ideal. And in terms of body type as well. And the overarching vision for the Juilliard School is really to become a model of diversity and inclusion for our field, to show how diversity can lead to a greater sense of excellence and is not something that takes away from what our standard of excellence might be. We mentioned the companies that I danced for. One of the most important aspects of working for those companies is that the mission, yes, was to be accomplished and excellent as performers, but there was always an understanding that you represented something larger than yourself with those companies, to show the world that the uniqueness of who we were as dancers of color could enhance the world, right? So I realized that stepping into those companies as a young person, I didn't have to prove myself because of my color. I didn't have to prove myself because I was over 6 feet tall in point shoes. I could come in and have a sense of belonging just because there was no one who looked like me when I looked around, and that was honored. And then I could grow and learn because I didn't have to fight something like a larger force, if that makes sense. And so when I see these super talented students come from all over the world with lots of different interests and big, huge talent, the thing that I am most concerned about is to create an environment of belonging for every student so that they can hit the ground running and just learn and be cracked open with these aha moments of discovery. So yeah, I'm not sure that it's something that I keep at the forefront of my mind because it's been so embedded in all that I've done in the dance world and as a performer. So when thinking about the student body, that's definitely there when we're auditioning. We're looking for, 18 to 26 very unique dance creatures. I would say people who are just like, they live, eat, and breathe movement. And then in terms of, then that helps to shape what we do from here, because you can create a very diverse student body. But then how do you support that student body? You have to give them information. You have to give them repertory. You have to give them curriculum that allows each person a way in to new material. So from there, then I looked at our programming to make sure that we were commissioning works from choreographers of color, from female choreographers who are often underrepresented as choreographers. And we have amazing young choreographers here that I want them to look up to these incredible women and say, wow, they made a career as a choreographer. I can do it too. How we support students with just the environment that we create is important. And also thinking about gender diversity and inclusion, that all of our students, including our non-binary students, our trans students, our students of the LGBTQ plus community, can be their authentic selves so that they can do the things that they dream of doing in their lives.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such an important topic, and one that, when I was in the dance studio industry, I remember, it was years ago, but I remember a moment where as a company, we realized that our student base was not very diverse at all. And we put a lot of effort into fixing that. But it was very challenging because then we were left in a situation where the people that we wanted to bring in the diversity didn't see themselves represented at our studio. And so it was like cyclical, and it was a really hard barrier to break through. So what I want to know from you now, our audience is primarily studio owners and dance educators. Mm-hmm. How can our listeners promote inclusivity and equity into their teaching and programming?
That's a great question because, at the Juilliard School, we sit in a very privileged position. I have to say that students from all over the world audition for our school, not just the local students who are right here in our community. But I have to say, we are centered in New York City, which is one of the most diverse communities there is. So that was another must of my vision, that we needed to reflect the city in which we were, living and educating in. But I think to more clearly answer your question, it really is about finding ways to support the students so that if they are looking around and not seeing representation, that there's something that they can grab onto. There's a faculty member who's super inspiring, who sees them as, unique and special, and really wants to see their gifts flourish. There's ways in which you can address your dress code. Think about how dancers of color feel in pink tights. That might be something that helps them to feel a greater sense of belonging because they feel good in their bodies because their tights actually match their skin tone. You could expose them to what is out there and to say, you may not see the representation here in our school, but let's open our eyes and see what there is for you in the greater dance world outside of our school. And let's see how we can get you there. I want to help get you there. So in some ways, it's a sort of like an individual sort of way of moving forward. And in other ways, I think there's a way to address communities of people.
Yeah. I also think about when I'm thinking, especially as a white woman, right? I think about what's on my walls, what's on my studio walls, whose photos are there, what gender are they, what color are they, where are they from, what dance style are there, and just taking an audit, walking in your studio and seeing what is not only reflected in the classroom, but on your walls. Who are you talking about in dance class? Is there a certain type of person? Are there other types of people? And I think those steps as well can start to see that you care about that, right? Because students, they read between the lines. No matter what you say or don't do or do, they can feel what your values are. And so hearing you talk about dancers of color, talking about artists of color, talking about different dance styles will all start to, I think, shape the environment into a place where it's more inclusive. And also I think about, who are you hiring? I think that's another important thing you can control as a studio owner. Who are you bringing in? Who are the master classes? And how can that help the students see themselves if they can't see themselves in you? Yeah.
And also to say, I grew up in a studio that was not hugely diverse, and I had a beautiful upbringing. I think it was, my teachers, the woman who really was responsible for helping me to get to my professional career, Donna Pidell, she tried her best to just expose me to the information that would keep me hungry and keep me going. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was all. That was it. That was everything that I needed. But my sister trained at the same studio and loved being there, and also started to see another kind of pathway for herself, and ended up training in 2 different places to get more information that the ballet school that I trained at couldn't offer or didn't offer at the time. And we both recognize how incredible that school was, what it instilled in us, this idea of professionalism and discipline and fun, because our social circles were all the girls that we took classes with, so I didn't do a lot of things after school. I went to a normal like public school program, high school. But my best friends were all the girls that I was, training with. So, I think it's also everyone's individual experience, what they're bringing and what they're coming with.
Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey, celebrating our 500th episode in style. We hope you're buzzing with inspiration and ready to conquer the dance world. If you loved what you heard today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. And hey, while you're at it, leave us a sparkling review to spread the dance studio love far and wide. I know you can't see me right now, but I'm giving you a little winky face there. Keep rocking those studios, keep chasing your dreams, and keep transforming the world one dance step at a time. Until next time, stay fabulous, stay fierce, and keep dancing like nobody's watching.